As we enter a new political year, questions remain over who's going to win in the midterm election. There's reason to believe that Democrats are going to take the lead as more and more Republicans announce they won't be seeking re-election, creating an opening. Incumbents typically have the advantage. And Donald Trump's polling is not doing too well. In aggregate, he's down 12 points. People on the right are frustrated with Trump, and the left just generally hates him. However, Democrats have their own challenges, my friends. Working class voters think Democrats are woke and weak. A new study has come out from a group saying Democrats could choose to win if they just focused on the American people. Instead, what do we find? Increasingly, Democrats are prioritizing activists, a fringe minority, and identity issues over what everyone cares about, and that is moolah in their pockets. The same can be said for Donald Trump and the Republicans, who have greatly entrenched themselves in foreign policy issues and immigration. Though immigration and economics do connect, they overlap. I'll put it like that. Donald Trump's messaging on the economy has also been weak. Now, still, the Republicans are at least trying to be, in some ways, the party of the working class. The problem ultimately I see with both parties is they are not sending a message. Now, don't get me wrong. You've got a message strongly from some Democrats saying defy Trump's orders, military, and Donald Trump saying sedition. Not to mention with the prioritization of these activist groups, it's looking pretty dang scary when they're propping up people who are violent in the streets. And then Donald Trump, of course, is saying sedition is punishable by death. It's not. The real question for the American people is, hey, look, man, are we going to have stability? And can I buy food? But I got bad news for everybody. Trump ain't getting no credit here because inflation is worse than anyone's letting on. Businesses are closing around me. I don't know about you. And Democrats seem to be hyper-focused on these issues like releasing criminals from the jails. Now, what I can say with all of this, my friends, is that there is one thing that always trumps economics in elections. As much as Carville is famous for saying, it's the economy, stupid. Security ranks higher than everything else, but typically security isn't a big issue. It is now. With the fears of a looming civil war, not to be underplayed or joked about, as I often kind of do in a self-deprecating way, a new study shows 57% of people believe the U.S. is moving towards a civil war, and obviously I don't blame them. I agree with that assessment. And you've got Barbara F. Walter, Stephen Marsh, as well as many other reporters talking about this. New stories, popping up every day about questions of whether or not the hyperpolarization on ideology will result in us going to war with each other. And I think that matters. Now, the question will be, with 57% expecting or believing a civil war is likely, will that trump the economy? I do believe so in many ways, but there still are many people who aren't paying attention to this political conflict. And thus, they're more focused on the economy, stupid. And if that's the case, this study is damning for Democrats. But let's do this. We're going to dive into the polls and the studies. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about with everything. Before we do, my friends, check out timcast.com, click join us, and get in our Discord server. $10 a month membership. You get access to pre-shows, after shows, the backstage pass. The Discord community is working on all of these things, and our uncensored show, Monday through Thursday on Timcast IRL, Rumble exclusive. If you guys want to watch that show, you got to be a member of Rumble Premium. But if you're in our Discord community, you get to actually call in and talk to us and our guests. The most important thing is we can't do this without you. If you believe the work that we do is good, if you believe that it is just and we need it in this world, then I tell you today, you must go to timcast.com and join the community because unity is our strength. We can't do it without you. But my friends, of course, let's jump into this news. You can, of course, follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Here's the story from Politico. Working class voters think Democrats are woke and weak. New research finds. The extensive research project shows the challenges and openings for the party in winning back working class voters. And they got a long way to go. I'm going to tell you right now, Gen Z ain't having none of it. You've got many Gen Z women in group preference, focused on whatever the group wants, not what's functionally political. Young men, however, are detached, saying Trump ain't here for me, Democrats ain't here for me. How the Democrats can repair their image and shift now from woke into strength, I don't know. It's not going to happen anytime soon, especially with people like AOC leading the party. Yikes. Politico reports. Working class voters see Democrats as woke, weak, and out of touch, and 6 in 10 have a negative view of the party, concluded a frank internal assessment of the hole the party finds itself in. The 9-month, 21-state research project is the latest in a wave of postmortems and data dives aimed at solving the Democratic Party's electoral challenges after their sweeping losses in 2024. It was funded by Democracy Matters, a nonprofit aligned with flagship Democratic super PAC, American Bridge 21st Century, and backed by months of polling, dozens of focus groups, and message testing. American Bridge's project focused exclusively on working class voters, shedding light on a once core constituency for Democrats that's drifted away from the party over the last decade. And the initial feedback is grim. Working class voters don't see Democrats as strong or patriotic, while Republicans represent safety and strength for them. These voters can't name what Democrats stand for other than being against Donald Trump, according to the report. And I love it. Because I went on Jesse Waters' show about a week or two ago, and these liberals attacked me because I said literally this. And I didn't need a research study to point out, for the love of all that is holy, I am an urban liberal. I'm a skateboarding, music-playing poker guy. I am not a staunch Christian conservative wearing a suit. Why can't Democrats figure out how to court people like me? My neighborhood in Chicago, flipped for Donald Trump in 2024. These people are so insanely out of touch. We are all left wanting. Well, my friends, I have the report for you here. This is absolutely fascinating data. We've got this from decidingtowin.org, and it says, Democrats have changed focus. This is a total breakdown of everything wrong with the party. And I actually love it. In comparison with the Democratic Party of 2012, today's Democratic Party is more focused on issues like climate change, democracy, abortion, and identity, and cultural concerns, and less focused on the economy and the middle class. The table below shows this shift through an analysis of the prevalence of select words in the 2024 Democratic Party platform. Now, I'm going to tell you, my friend, and comparing it to 2012, I'm going to tell you this. They're hard pressed right now because I do not trust the scumbag likes of Elizabeth Warren and other prominent Democrats like Schumer, Pelosi. Zohran Mamdani lied through his teeth to get elected. I got to admit, when they did that whole panel of it was the mayor debate, and they said, if you could travel to a country, where'd you go? And they go, Israel, 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 Israel. And Zohran Mamdani goes, I wouldn't go anywhere. I'd stay here to help the people of New York. I'm like, he just won the election. I mean, I think everybody saw it right there. You don't got to like the guy. You don't got to like his policies. But seriously, the idea is like, I'm going to go to Israel. I don't care about Israel, okay? I'm not one of these anti-Israel people. I just literally don't care. I want to focus on making our country better. Zohran Mamdani and AOC and these other people ain't ever going to win me over. So long as you have these socialist Democrats, or whatever you want to call them, people like me are out. So how will the Democrats ever come back from this? Honestly, I don't know. Because even if they improve their message, a great sect of their party is unwilling to drop the psycho cult issues. But I can at least point this out. Take a look at this. From 2012 to 2024, white, black, Latino, and Latina jumped 1.28 per 1,000 words, a 1,137% increase. Are you insane? Take a look at this. Jobs dropped 47%, economic 48%, middle class 79%, economy 50%. We've got, what's another big one? Responsibility dropped 83%, fathers 100%. Lord have mercy, these people are insane. How we got here. What is popular and what is not? They say, that's a really great point. Voters trust Republicans more on most of the issues they see as top priorities. There's a feller I play poker with, And I was talking to him last night. He's a liberal guy. And he goes, I'm not a liberal. He's an old man. And I was like, I talk about you on the show, brother. And he was like, I heard. And I guess people were saying I was smack talking. I never smack talked this man. I consider you, Ken, if you hear this, you're my best friend in the poker room. And it's funny because he's a liberal. And he doesn't think he is, but he follows all these liberal issues. And I told him the other day, he asked me if it's possible to make, a podcast in the middle, a show in the middle that will try to bring people together. And I said, it's not possible. And I said, because I am the center. Like, my show is centrist. And he was shocked. His eyes went, he was like, you? Because he calls me far right. And he asked me one time, what's the difference between me and Nick Fuentes? And I started laughing. I'm like, come on, man. There's another guy we play poker with who's actually a Fuentes fan. And he started laughing because he knows my show. And he knows, he's like, dude, come on. This is the point. I care about the cost of living, the economy, inflation, taxes and government spending, healthcare, political division. No one trusts Democrats on these issues. Take a look at this. Net trust in Democrats. Cost of living, importance to voters, 85%, and the net trust from Democrats is -6. That's the top issue. The economy, 81% importance, -9 from Democrats. When the Democrats are failing in every single way, you lose people like me. You lose people like Joe Rogan. I do not. And I have I mean no disrespect to the Christian conservatives. You are, see, this is the crazy thing. Today, I find myself an urban liberal, lifelong Democrat voter, aligning with Christian suit-wearing conservatives who go to church every Sunday because we overlap on more issues as Americans than the left does with the rest of us. And so if you want to talk about what the center is, I got to be completely honest. I'm actually left. No, let's break it down. If we were to excise from the political space the left, the AOCs, the Zoran Mamdanis, I'm the left to Charlie Kirk's right. I am the left to Ben Shapiro's right. If you were to actually look at the what is liberal and conservative in this country, you'd be like, oh yeah, there's liberal Tim Pool and Joe Rogan and right-wing Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. And then when we sit down and have conversations and smoke cigars together, we laugh, we tell jokes. And then Crowder says, come on, Tim, you really think that abortion should be at these weeks? And I'm like, listen, I think the argument goes like this. And then we cheers, salute, and drink our beers. Today, the left says, you're white supremacists. And we're like, I have no idea what that means. Like, I get a guy walking down the street in a Klan robe, but you're not doing that. No one is doing, that's not what Crowder is doing. So now, as I'm talking to my good friend there in the poker room, he's a good dude, by the way. He's a good dude. He's very funny as well. I'm telling him, I am the center. You know what the problem is? I was thinking about this earlier. I made a video talking about Venezuela, talking about war. There's nothing overtly heavy politics in it. But he only ever sees the clips of me talking about Democrats doing something wrong. So his perception of the shows that I produce are that we're always, every single episode, saying, Democrats. To be fair, a lot of it is. Why? Because they're doing things wrong. This is the challenge we face now. You've got an activist sect of leftists, and you've got regular working people who are just trying to figure this out. I was talking to I don't know if athlete is the right word, but I don't want to give away too many private details, but prominent sporting individual. And it was like the first conversation I had with this person, and I was like, it's great to meet you, man. I was like, we were talking about politics, and I said, look, man, I'm a fairly liberal guy, but, based on how insane the left's gotten, here I am on the right. And he goes, I'm exactly the same way. It's like, I'm not even into politics, but it's like everything I see, I guess I'm a conservative. And I was like, but you're not, dude. This guy's from California. Look at this. On all of the issues that matter most, mental health, and we've got only the tiniest bit, okay? On healthcare, Democrats are up 5. On Social Security, they're up 1. On poverty, they're up 3. Medicare 4. Housing 2. Mental health is their best at 9. Border security is -17. Trade, international trade, -10. Look at this. Inflation, -10. The point is, This study is not Republicans attacking Democrats. I am not a staunch conservative, Rush Limbaugh, attacking Democrats. I am your urban liberal voter base. And you've abandoned us. And when I have desperately begged to pull it back and say, be normal, they call me far right. That's what I was telling my buddy the other day at the poker room when I said I was a centrist. He's like, you? And I said, I donated the maximum to do 2 Democrat primary candidates in 2020. I was, from 2019 to 2020, it's insane to me. There I am sitting in my house in Jersey, watching those debates. There's Tulsi Gabbard. The nostalgia. I was playing World of Warcraft. What was it, Legion back then? And Tulsi Gabbard was up on that debate stage. I donated the maximum to Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang. And I said, we need this kind of voice in the Democratic Party. And they said, yeah, Joe Biden. And I said, I'm not voting for the neoliberal warmonger. Donald Trump then put out his second-term agenda. And I announced, I think it was in August of 2020, that I'd be voting for Donald Trump instead. And the issue was plain and simple. For everything I'm concerned about and everything Joe Biden represents, if I were to vote for Biden, I'd be a hypocrite. Even Tulsi Gabbard endorsed him. No, I looked at Trump's agenda where he said, get the wokeness out of the government contracts, no new wars. And I said, all right. I mean, these are my options. Then I'm going to vote for Trump. Boy, did people lose their minds. That YouTube even switched my rep. There's a rep for liberals and a rep for conservatives. And then they switched me to the conservative rep. That's how I knew. I was like, here we go. What a stupid world. Democrats, you've lost the plot. But I'm not going to sit here, my friends, and just ignore the failures that is the Trump administration as well. I'm a fan of Trump. I've long maintained there's decorum issues. When he called that woman piggy, I don't care all that much, okay? I'm so over this. I talked about in the past, when I was like, listen, I think decorum matters and honor and integrity matters in the White House and the Oval Office. But you can't compare Trump to Democrats because they're equally as bad. Calling everyone a white supremacist, everyone's crazy. So you know what? Donald Trump gets tough and he says, buzz off. And I say, I'll take it. I'll take it. And then Donald Trump says, we're going to do right on the border. I say, I'll take it. We're going to get rid of woke. Absolutely. These cultists are insane. But there's a lot to criticize Trump for. He wasn't perfect on the lockdowns. Hindsight is 2020, so I got to give him a little bit of that because even I was wrong on a lot of these things. Me, the milquetoast fence sitter. But Democrats are desperately begging. I should say the NGOs, the nonprofits, the PACs are desperately begging Democrats to get their heads out of their, if you know what I mean, and wake up to the issues Americans care about. Which brings me to Donald Trump. I want to point this out as an aside as we segue. Yearly mentions of prejudice in popular U.S. news media outlets. I'm highlighting this. New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, Wall Street Journal to point out. This is the Democratic Party. This is why people like me think the media is trash. They're pushing all the identity garbage. Okay. Well, I think we want to talk more about where we currently are right now and what this means as we enter a new midterm year. It is December. Many questions are being asked. Who's going to run? Many Republicans are retiring, some Democrats even. It's hyper-polarizing and it's bad. The first problem I'll highlight for Donald Trump is his detrimental polling spread. In aggregate, he's minus 12.7. Hold on there a gosh darn minute. See, the problem is these polls are largely meaningless. You look at one of these polls and he's minus 20. CBS News has minus 20. Over the exact same time period, Big Data has a minus 5. The only thing I can track is movement, not the actual numbers. And what I can say is when Rasmussen, one of the most accurate pollsters, has Trump minus 7, Trump is underwater bigly. I don't trust Gallup's minus 24. That's insane. That's a blip. Static. However, the movement is clear. Over time, Trump's polling has fallen. If we go back in time to, what do we got? September, we can see that Trump had some good polls, some bad polls. It was wild. Minus 18, but minus 3, then minus 24, then plus 5. It's kind of weird. But now we can see many of these polls that typically would show Trump doing well are now all showing bad. The Republicans are doing bad. I'm not playing any stupid games, okay? The economy is not good. Grocery prices are up. And the blind deference to Trump on this issue is silly. Guys, you're not going to win an election for the Republican Party, which we think is crucially important, by pretending the economy is good. Okay, here we go. I've got here from Civics. How would you rate the condition of the national economy right now? Across the board, 31% says very bad, 31% says fairly bad. 62% polled by Civics say currently the economy is either very or fairly bad. 28% say fairly good, 6% say very good. So, yikes. 34% of America thinks the economy is either very good, but mostly just kind of fairly good. Well, let's isolate it from Democrats. When we select Democrats, we can see that 51% say very bad and 41% say fairly bad. Less than 1% say it's good and 5% say fairly good. What I absolutely love about this is that it flipped the moment Trump got into office. Lord have mercy. Inauguration Day, this is how stupid everybody is. I'm sorry, guys. Someone needs to say it, okay? This is American retardation. The economy was fairly good under Biden. As soon as Trump got elected, literally a day later, the economy was bad. Is it a joke? The economy all of a sudden just became bad when Trump got inaugurated? Man, Lord have mercy. Among independent voters, the bloc that matters most, they think the economy is bad. And they didn't flip on Biden or Trump. The independent voter base largely viewed the economy as bad under Joe Biden, and it remained bad to this day. On Inauguration Day, there was no significant change. Fairly bad went up a bit, that went down a bit, and it's remained largely in the same place. Democrats and Republicans are hyperpolarized. When we select for Republicans, you can see something similar. The moment Joe Biden was out and Trump got in, all of a sudden, the economy is doing great. And I'm just sitting here like, ugh. Republicans, don't be stupid like Democrats. Democrats, stop being retarded. Pretending the economy is good or bad because you hate the other guy is the stupidest thing imaginable. But this is what they do. The reality is the economy is bad. That's just it. The independent voters, they have it right. The economy is bad. I got this video. This guy walking around Costco shares examples of food inflation that are way higher than numbers reported. I'm going to play this for you. It's only 40 seconds. Listen to this.
So I'm walking around Costco here and I'm noticing these prices. For example, these Madras lentils, $15.99. I bought those a year ago for $6.99. I keep getting told that we got, 6-7% inflation. You got to be kidding me. Let's look at what else we got going on here.
I got to pause real quick and make sure y'all understand the context of what it means to have 7% inflation. You can't look at a can of beans and then be like, hey, it's 3 times more expensive. That means inflation is worse. Bean inflation could be worse. General inflation is worse. The inflation metric they're giving you, I believe, is a lie. But it's important to point out that the metric covers everything. So cars and gas, all of these things matter. Looking at mayonnaise and being like, it's gone up 100% doesn't mean inflation is up 100%. Key areas are going to be breaking down differently. But this young man is correct. Here we go. We got Tasty Bite lentils, $6.99. And then he showed it at $15.
We bought this chicken broth, $5.69.
Chicken broth, $5.69 a few months ago. Mayonnaise, $9.99. He took pictures. $4.99. Mayonnaise doubled in price. Man, that's crazy. This is bread flour, $5.99. And then does it got an updated image for us? $12.49. All-purpose flour.
Dang, this is the flour we were buying for $5.99 last year.
Here we go. We got Kirkland Signature Unsalted Butter Quarters for $13.59. $9.49 a year ago. This is what matters.
So I'm walking around.
When people say inflation is low, that doesn't matter, dude. You can't lie to someone. I liken it to the Family Guy joke where the guy is sitting, they're in the elevator together. Peter farts, and the other guy looks at him, and Peter goes, "It was you." It's like, who are you lying to? I experienced this. I go to the grocery store, and the costs are up. Now, the problem I have is Donald Trump coming out and saying, no, grocery prices aren't up. Are you kidding me, dude? Look, Trump doesn't buy his own groceries. Like, it's silly to think so. Well, I buy my own groceries. I go to Food Lion, or sometimes we go to Mom's. Fantastic. Mom, they got the best hummus. That Majestic spread at hummus, nothing's better. But I can see the prices everywhere. It is insane to try and lie. Trump's message needs to be, guys, I know prices are going up. Trust me that we are working on this every day, and we are here for you. Instead, he gets interviewed, and he's like, grocery prices aren't up. That's not true. No. We're going to bring in the H-1Bs and the Chinese visas, and I'm just like, you're losing Americans. Don't get me wrong. Democrats aren't earning any favors. That's the whole point of the video. Democrats have long abandoned the working class. We got this from Newsweek. Blue-collar jobs are collapsing under Trump. I highlight this for two reasons. One, I want to make sure it's clear this perception exists, and I believe it's half true. Half true. That is, the Trump administration is not doing enough for the regular working class Americans. He's certainly better than Democrats. We can agree on that. The data shows it. However, he is lacking, as I already mentioned with his message. We got to talk about prices. We got to talk about property inflation. J.D. Vance has gotten on message on this one. H-1Bs are freaking people out. That's when they're bringing in these Indian workers to replace low-skilled jobs while claiming they're not low-skilled jobs. But the blue-collar job collapse is not Trump's fault. But he could be doing better on it. Technological advances, societal changes, and a low birth rate are going to result in recession and deflation. These things are all true, and there's not much you can do to change it. So if Trump can get on message, Republicans can actually win. They can actually win, but I got to be honest. I'm going to pull up the prediction markets right now here. I want to bring in the midterm prediction markets. Let's see. We got let's see. You know what? I'll just pull. We got Kalshi over here. And let's see what we got here. I just got to search midterms, I guess. Midterms. How many seats will Republicans hold after the midterms? Interesting. Let's try that one. It's not the same thing as who's going to win. 211 is the forecast. That means they're going to lose, right? Let's do a hard search for midterms because they actually do have which party will win the U.S. House next year. The Democratic Party just jumped to 76%. They were at a low of 57, 55. That's crazy. The expectation is always going to be that the opposition party wins. Trump's the president, so the Democrats are going to win because people aren't happy with the way things are going. But we take a look at that initial data I just showed. I'm not convinced it's going to be cut and dry. If the Republican Party gets on message and starts focusing on your wallet book, maybe we'll pull this off. I think Trump's got a masterful play with the tariff dividend, and it makes sense and can work. I've done the math. If he's aiming to give about 100 million Americans a $2,000 check, tariffs support it. In fact, the way tariffs are going, it may actually get better than that. So what's the point of the tariffs? This is interesting. Trump isn't using tariffs to make money for the U.S. government. So he's kind of saying he is. He's talking about getting rid of the income tax. Maybe that's something he can do, and do tariffs only. It's an interesting play. There's a lot to break down in international economics as to why that makes the most sense. Or, I'm sorry, it makes a lot of sense. The dividend is great because they say tariffs are a tax on the American people. Well, it's a tax on people buying foreign-made products. But if the money from those tariffs is distributed back to the American people for buying products, then that just means those who choose to buy foreign can, but they got to share a little bit of those costs with the American people who are being left out because now they don't have jobs. If we didn't allow importing at all, which is insane, mind you, but if we didn't, if you wanted that product, it had to be made in America, that means an American gets a job. So this dividend play is a good play because it means people who don't know and don't care are going to find a check in the mail for cold hard cash. I think this is the major play. Now, I do want to stress fears of escalation. Trump, sedition, Mark Kelly, these billboards, these things play a role too, and everyone knows security matters the most. That's what this study pointed out. Security matters. And on law, order, and security, people generally trust the Republicans more and always have. So my question to all of you, my friends, who are you voting for? Look, the people who follow on this channel and follow me, we've done the polls. We've talked to you guys. Listen, there's a lot of MAGA Republican conservatives who follow me for sure. Liberals seem to think everybody following me is a conservative, Trump-supporting rural folk. The majority, or I'm sorry, not the majority, the plurality. The biggest demographic we have is Chicago urban moderates. Shout out Chicago. Miss you. Though it's very corrupt, I don't want to go back. Sorry. But our biggest audience is in Chicago. It's kind of crazy, right? But it makes sense. That's where I'm from. The views I have are held by a lot of the same people because I grew up alongside all of you. What we decide changes the game. And for a long time, people like us have been switching to the Republican Party. Jeff Van Drew in South Jersey is a great example. This can change if Democrats get back on point. But how you erase the past statements and weird wokery, I don't know. I will never vote for Elizabeth Warren. Never going to happen. Because she's a liar. She's corrupt. A cultist. Could it be new, fresh faces emerge in the Democratic Party and take it back? I wish. I wish. Seriously, I think conservatives should too. I think you should. If you're a Trump voter, you want a normal Democratic Party. Maybe you never vote for them, that's fine. But think about how that recenters the American mission. Let's say we come to a future in 4 or 5 years where all of a sudden Tim Pool is voting for the Democrat. Maybe it's not going to be Newsom, I'll tell you that. These people are nuts. But maybe by 2032, instead of going in a full-scale civil war, a new face emerges in the Democratic Party that represents more of like a Tulsi Gabbard, Tim Pool, Joe Rogan kind of Democratic Party. Well, Republicans like Joe Rogan and Bill Maher. They don't love Bill Maher, but Bill Maher's called out the insanity. And that's why back in the day, Bill Maher was a crazy liberal, but people hung out with him. And he went around, he met conservatives, they shook his hand, and they went on his show. Because he's a liberal guy. We want Bill Maher to be what the Democratic Party is. And to his credit, even Stephen A. Smith, not perfect. But hopefully that's where they go. And you know what? When Bill Maher said Stephen A. Smith may actually be a good contender for the Democrats, other prominent Democrats said, nope. Then be insane, I guess. Then be insane. All that matters is, my friends, got to be honest, the American people don't trust the Democrats. The data shows it, and the Democrats know it. So you tell me. Smash that like button, my friends. Share the show with everyone you know. Thank you so much for hanging out. So much to talk about. So much fun. We'll be back, of course, tonight for Timcast IRL. Again, it's been fun. And we'll see you all in the next segment.